Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This time we are doing 2 laps of Whole Lotta Lava. So it's about 28 kilometers. It's a bit of a longer one than the previous ones. So I've decided to drop down to Class D for this race rather than Class C because I had a look on Zwiftpower to see who's entering, and Class C has barely any people, and there's a few people who say they're Class C but really they're Class B or Class A. There was only like 7 people entered into Class C, and Class D had a bit more, and it's a long race, very hilly, so I don't really have any advantages. I will enter the Class C ones when it's a shorter race or a very flat race, but this race is quite long and quite hilly, so I think Class D would be more appropriate, because on the hills I'm still going to struggle anyway. Besides, my Zwiftpower ranking still says I'm Class D, so I'm not cheating in any way. Anyway, yeah, it's been quite good so far. I'm going to buy some clipless pedals because everyone has said it is worth doing, and to be honest, my feet do slide around quite a lot, and I think it will help, and yeah, I think that'll be a good investment. The weather here is getting much better. It's gone from being in the negatives last week to now it's about 10 degrees outside, so it's very nice cycling weather. So I'm going to do some outdoor cycling videos later. So if you want to see those, see some like cycling in China videos, you can like and subscribe. So I'm just getting a quick warm up in here. Got 7 minutes to go. Been cycling for a little while already. Hopefully it will be a good one. For once I'm feeling quite confident. I would like to win. I've had a look at the people in the category and everyone seems quite evenly matched. I'm obviously the heaviest person in there, but in terms of watts per kilogram, we seem all very evenly matched. This route has 1 big hill per lap, so we've got to tackle that twice. It's pretty intense, about 300 meters of elevation gain in the whole thing. So my strategy will be to attack that quite aggressively so I don't get dropped, and then hopefully maybe I can pull away on the downhill when I have an advantage. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see how it goes. I would like to win, I really want to win after losing those Class C races quite brutally. But yeah, that'll be quite good. I hope everyone's doing all right. Everyone's getting into the cycling outdoors. Summer's coming. So just reading up on the rules, this is a Japan Swift hill climb race, and it says no power-ups are allowed, so I don't even need to be on my phone for any reason. So that's quite interesting, don't need to worry about that. One less thing to think about. All right, time to get my tunes ready. Got to make sure the playlist is banging before we start. I've gone for 80s rock. Can't go wrong with this.
So here we are, beginning for the race. As usual, I'm going to put down quite a lot of power to begin with. In this race, you can actually see all the different classes of riders. The previous ones I was doing, you could only see the category you're in. But in this one, if you look on the right-hand side, you can see all the D-class riders, all the A-class riders. So you can see everyone, which is quite cool. So that's quite nice because I can try to keep up with some of the category Cs, but still be racing in the category B. So for the first few minutes of the race, I try to put down loads of power, try to get away from as many of the category Ds as I can. I want to stick with the category Cs for this race for as long as possible. About 4 minutes in, and I found a pair of Cs to sit with. I'm going to stay here, try to conserve some energy, sit in their draft for a while, because I want to save as much energy as possible before I get to the big KOM. We've now been joined by some more Cs, the pack's getting a bit bigger, so this time I'm trying to focus on riding in the pack more. I'm trying to focus on being at the back so I can save as much energy as possible and not surging to the front and then dropping off. I'm also trying to make sure my gearing is much better than before. I'm trying to keep my cadence above 90, especially when I get to the hills. Sometimes I've been forgetting to change gear and just standing up and pushing really hard rather than spinning. So this is the beginning of the hill, and 5% at the moment, and for some reason I decide to go very strongly out the blocks, pushing about 350 to 400 watts for no reason. And already I'm starting to blow up. 180 heart rate, that's normally what I get at the end of the race when I'm sprinting, so this is not sustainable at all, so I need to back off. If you look at the graph down the bottom, you can see it's all red, which means I'm putting out way too much power. And anyway, yeah, they start to get away from me because I went out too powerfully. This hill just goes on and on. I'm still trying to keep the power up, but it's not going to last for very long. See, I'll have to drop down to about 200 and then the gradient goes up again. And yeah, at this point I need to push it back a notch because I'm really suffering. I'm still managing to stick with this group, but I'm really having to work way too hard for it. So 20 minutes into the race, finally we've made it to the top of this hill, and at this point the big group has dropped me. I'm pretty much alone here, so I'm just going to try and chase down this sea guy in front of me. So as this is a descent, I can have a bit of a rest and put down very few watts and still catch up with him. I'm going to try to get my heart rate down because it was about 180 at the top of the hill, and now it's going to be down to about 150 by the end of this. I can have a drink, relax, have a nice light spin to get the acid out the legs. Eventually I managed to catch up with this guy. He is putting out a lot more power than me, but because I'm heavier I can just slowly reel him in. So now we're on the flat ground. I have a much better time of keeping up with everyone. I overtake a few people, and yeah, this is much nicer. I can keep the watts quite steady, let the heart rate go down, and just have a nice relax. And it's almost the end of the first lap now. So I'm just trying to recover as much as possible because I know I have to go up that big hill again. I'm still sitting with the C guy, and there's another D guy who's joined us here. So that's the end of the first lap. Overall, I'm feeling quite good at this point. The heart rate's sitting about 165, which is alright. Not looking forward to doing the hill again. In the previous lap I went out way too hard, so this time I need to take it slower and more steady and not blow up at the beginning. We've got 12.2 kilometers to go, so my goal now is to try and stick with this C guy. So for the beginning of this lap I just sit in this guy's draft. I refuse to do any more work than I need to. Got to save as much energy as possible. Eventually he gets very sick of me doing that and tries to break away, but I can't let that happen, so I put down loads of power to try and keep up with him because that's my only way of winning or beating him. So this is the beginning of the hill. We've got about 10 minutes of pure climbing coming up. So I try to match him watt for watt, and he does try to break away a few times, but I managed to stick with him quite well. Finally made it to the top, and I'm not nearly as exhausted as I was the previous lap. My heart rate is only 170, which is very manageable. On the previous lap it got up to 180. And now it's time to get my breath back, time to relax and get the heart rate down a bit. So I'm gonna take it as slow as possible going down here, still try to sit in his draft a bit, trying to make him do all the work while I just rest. There's only 5 kilometers now and it's mostly downhill, so this is probably going to come down to a sprint at the end. It's just about who's going to bite first and go for it. So we've got about 3 kilometers to go. I go for it on the hill, put down about 500 watts for a while, just to see if he's awake and responding. So I managed to pull out a little gap. I've got about 15 meters on him, but then he starts to put down the power as well. He puts down about 5 watts per kilogram and starts to pull me back in. So that one didn't really work, but it was worth a try. At this point, we are really going quite quickly. We're catching up with the 2 people in front of us. There's another Class C and another Class B. So those 2 are in their own little world, not really doing much, and we're catching up with them really quickly. So at this point, there's 1.7 kilometers to go, mostly flat, but the finish is uphill. So we're all just seeing who is going to sprint first. I'm feeling quite fresh at this point because I've saved so much energy going down the hill and just staying in his draft. 1 kilometer to go, slowly increasing the power because we all know it's going to be a sprint at the end. Heart rate is quite high, 172, and I'm trying to make sure I keep my cadence high and don't get bogged down. And now 500 meters to go.
sprinted a B. Oh. What a race. Let's close this window. I did what I wanted to do, which was pretty much win the Ds, I think. Let me scroll up, see if there's any more. If they were, then fair enough. No, Bs. This guy wins 3.6 watts per kilogram. Alright, good D. Yeah. Batty, BT, 2.8, yeah, fair enough. So I'll give myself a second place out of these. Very happy with that. I managed to stick with those two C's at the end, and managed to outsprint a B, which I'm very happy with. But you can see the amount of effort they're all putting in compared to me. Look at this guy, H baby, 135 heart rate compared to me 165. But still, I beat him, and that's all that matters. Alright, I'll put the Zwiftpower results up because that'll be quite interesting. I think my tactics for that one were quite good. All I wanted to do was, when I got with the C guy, just stick behind him going up the hill. And then I knew when it got to the flat bit, I should be able to out-race him because I was probably heavier and producing more raw power. But yeah, the hill was hard. I blew up on the first hill because I went out at like 400 watts. Definitely can't sustain that. But the second hill, I shifted down, kept my cadence high, didn't go for too much power. And the second time up the hill, I managed to use my energy much better. So overall, the tactics were a lot better that time. Very happy with the result. Let's see if Zwiftpower will ever upgrade me to a C. Probably not. But I like these races where you can see everyone, not just your class, because you can really push yourself to keep up with someone in a higher class. So I think that was pretty good. That was good fun. Good race. If you liked it and want to see more, click the like button and subscribe. It really helps me out and it helps me make more videos. So, thanks everyone for watching. I will see you next time.